welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. It doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create an amazing life in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey. I'd like to welcome Jennifer Gligoric.
Hey guys, how are you doing? I'm very excited to be here with all of my sales peeps.
Hey, I love it. And I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Well, I've got a lot of crazy sales stories. So I will start out with the fact that I started at a very young age, like third grade, working. My mother owned a staffing firm. So, of course, if you're a small business owner, you're a salesperson. And she's the one who got the jobs, and she had to call everybody. So at a young age, I was taught the value of work because I would have people come in. And of course, I'm a kid. So I'm like the fly on the wall. I'm doing the typing tests. I'm getting them set up on their spelling tests and things like that. But I'm also listening to their stories, how important work is and how important it was for their families, and it wasn't just women temps. There were a lot of men. It's in Texas, Southeast Texas. So a lot of Boilermakers, welders, offshore oil guys. And it just gave me a good frame of reference. But I also realized the difference in what people get paid for different things. And so I noticed that the women, anyone who had a sales background, they tended to make a lot more money. So fast forward to my teen years, I come from this amazing, huge family, but everybody crapped out for like 5 to 8 years, like either addiction or something terrible happened or financial loss. And I ended up being homeless. So I was homeless and all by myself. I went to college homeless. I was either in a shelter, Covenant House, which is the only shelter that is for children, that are under 21. And the first jobs I got were always in sales. And because I made a lot more money than any of my peers could make. And that's what got me out of being homeless, is being a salesperson. And it's still one of the best jobs in the world. And one thing I learned really early, and I still work with it. Now I work with healthcare professionals, and I'm a consultant with, service-based business owners, but I work with a lot of doctors, is the fact that in order to be a great salesperson, you have to really care about people, and you have to believe in what you do, and you have to believe in your product. And if you don't, then you need to quit. And I'm going to tell you a good story about that. So back in the day, I worked for this place called Together, which was a dating service. Mm-hmm. We used to have them, right? So it wasn't even video dating. It was introductions. So back in the 90s, dating myself. Yeah, I rode a dinosaur to work. No. So I would go, and it was in Houston, and it was $1,999 for 12 introductions or $2,499 for unlimited. We only had 2 plans. Everything I did was choreographed in my sales presentation. Every inflection of my voice, everything that I did, it was a very emotional process. And you had to break people down and then you would lift them up. So if they started crying too much, you've lost the sale because I broke them down too much, right? Very interesting to do that. But I really believed it. And I had a couple of marriages, and that really made me feel like I am getting people married. I'm changing their life. And I had this feeling, and I dressed up. I had beautiful offices. So I would travel throughout Houston to these glorious offices. Loved it. And then everyone in telemarketing quit for some reason. Had no idea. The salespeople were always kept kind of apart from the call room. So then we had to go and help, right? Because you had to. So they were like, hey, we're going to have to help. We had this issue, I forget what it was. It was a long time ago. But I suddenly realized that half of what I was saying wasn't exactly true. We weren't taking all their financial data and really mapping them to that. The prettiest girls got all the dates, and we gave it to them for free. The beautiful girls got the dates. We gave it to them for free. And guess what? After that, I went from having an 62% close rate, like I almost closed everyone, to I couldn't close anyone.
Oh, no.
Because I no longer believed in the service, and I only lasted like a couple of weeks after that happened. And literally they had to hire all new salespeople. And that was a big cost to the company because salespeople that were really good at this were very hard to find. So that really taught me a lesson. I went from making probably the best money for a young person my age at that time to nothing. And it was quite terrifying, right? But then I realized I can only do the things I truly believe in, because if I don't, it's not going to work. So I learned that at a pretty young age. And then it really helped me pick the right opportunities after that. And then I morphed into consulting and what I do now. But I still take it with me because we have a lot of people that I consult with that have imposter syndrome. And I'm like, you graduated from Harvard Medical School. How do you have imposter syndrome? But they do, they do for whatever reason, because somebody in third grade told them something. And so a lot of it is just working through the inner beliefs so that you can truly be an advocate and consultant for the person. So learning that salespeople, you don't lie. The best salespeople don't lie. They really care about their person. And all they're there is to find out, well, why are you here today? What do you really need? And then seeing, is this a fit or is this not? And if it's not, and referring them to who it is, no harm, no foul, it's a numbers game. The next person it will be, and be able to, and the ability to use discernment.
Yeah, there's some layers to this. There's so many gems in there that I want to pull out of there, Jennifer. And what I really appreciate is that journey that you went through. I mean, that's why I love the sales profession, because you can literally go through almost anything. And as long as you can stand up and be respectable, you'll likely find an opportunity in sales somewhere. Granted, you might have to start in some weird, awkward places, selling some stuff that like seems really great. And then you learn the inner workings of it and you're like, oh, no. Like,
yep.
What am
I sold encyclopedias
here?
Door to door. That was one of my first jobs, is doing that. Of course, that was a good job back in the day, but now those encyclopedias are collecting dust somewhere.
Chat GPT and Wikipedia and all the things that
and of course they're not instant lies, right? Are they necessarily true? I'm like, so I love AI. I use like 12 AIs in that different programs that I have. So my output is insane right now because of AI, but then I also want to burn it to the ground. Like the Gen X in me was like, kill it with fire. These are our AI overlords. But then I'm not stupid. We have to use AI now. I've got to be ahead of the curve. If I can't get more output as a professional utilizing that, then I am behind the times. So, and it doesn't matter what you are, I still do sales and we still have to utilize that. So, and there's a bunch of them.
And I think it's kind of a good segue into my next question, because, you told the story about working in the dating thing where you had your whole process dialed in. You were a whole believer in what was going on until you saw the inner workings. And it brought up an issue of ethics or morals or whatever it is, right? Because we have to believe in the thing that we're selling. We want to know 100%, hey, when I offer this to someone and they pay me this amount of money, they're going to get more than what they're paying for. And a lot of times this is where that imposter syndrome kicks in. Is that, for a lot of sales professionals, small business owners, entrepreneurs, right? We can lump all of you guys kind of together in this. And even those who are massively successful that aren't even sales, they're just like doctors and dentists and lawyers and people that have these amazing skill sets, but they're not.
No, they're still in sales.
They're still in sales, but they have to come at it from a different angle. But the imposter syndrome shows up when you realize that you know a lot, but you don't know what you don't know. And so you don't ever want to steer someone down the wrong path or make them, believe in something that's not actually true. And it's so interesting, the shift in the flow of that, because even if you've been successful in sales, you can transition into new things and still go through that imposter syndrome and have to work through it. And so what I'd be curious for you, having had this experience, what should someone do, or like what is the most ethical and moral way to make sure that what you're selling feels right?
Well, I talk about ethical entrepreneurship a lot. And so I would say the first thing you need to do in sales is to find out what your actual divine purpose is. Is it just to be a salesperson, or is there something else? And I find that if you don't feel aligned with what it is. You have to be aligned on some level. It could be a great product, but maybe you're not aligned with it. Then you need to make that shift, right? And it could be a religious thing. It could be just a personal difference. But if you're like, yeah, if you're anti-technology, you shouldn't be working for Apple. Right? If you want kids to not be on screens all the time, don't sell mini iPads. Or I mean, there's basic things like that, right? And so you have to say at a core level, do I believe that this product is doing good for the world? Some people, absolutely, they're like, technology is the future. We got to get, whatever it is. And so you have to figure that out. And then each day you need to make sure you're doing that. Because if you don't feel like what you're doing is a value for humanity at some level, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for you, but somebody else will. So the good thing about when you really tap into what your divine purpose is that once you figure that out, all of a sudden you start noticing those opportunities more rather than it being hidden, or you get overwhelmed with, well, I can do anything. All of a sudden it narrows it down, and it's like this wonderful video game where you see little things pop up that you probably wouldn't have even noticed before because you're so tuned in to what it is you really are looking for. And you can work on yourself. As a salesperson, you are consistently working on you. You're working on going back to the foundations, sticking to the script, listening more and talking less, those basic things. You're always having to work on that. And if you're not, then really, because you have a divine purpose, you also have a divine responsibility to do it well. So that's how you know if you are in your ethical center, is what am I doing aligned with who I am as a person, what I want? Do I feel this is good for the world? And am I constantly working on improving myself, either listening to podcasts or doing whatever, this lifelong learner? A salesperson, you're going to be a lifelong learner. Am I doing that to the best of my ability, while also honoring my family and the other things like my community? So, yeah.
Yeah, I often say success is a perspective. Right, one person version of it is going to be different than another's, and if you could get in a time machine and go back to the day you were born and go to the delivery room and ask your parents, like, hey, when so and so grows up, what are they going to be and how are they going to be successful? It would be drastically different than what we have right now. And a great example is, like you said, with AI. Right, we can go in and we can get quick and we can load things up and we can really create at a massive exponential rate. And also, there's those of us that are still using it and going, man, this is, I don't know, I got to watch. And so I think what's interesting for me about sales as a whole is that essentially, if you're a salesperson, you are the business, right? You may represent another company, wave their flag, wear their logo, whatever on your jersey. Like, that's all in well and good, but like, you're still in business for yourself. You're essentially a young entrepreneur in the first phase of the process. And so what I'd be curious for you, Jennifer, like, what are the 4 areas that someone really needs to focus on as they're building their business, as they're building themselves?
Well, the first thing is understand the process and don't skip on the script. Learn your foundations. Learn that foundational script and the journey that you're putting people through. Thankfully, if you usually work for somebody else, or you're in I'd take that back. No matter what industry you're in, there is some person or entity that has probably spent millions of dollars on market research and everything else to come up with a good process. So do your research and find out what that is, and be good at going back to the fundamentals for it. 2, never forget that you need to talk less and listen more. You have to actually connect with the person. So the better you learn the script, the easier it is for you to listen and then respond within your framework to move that person to the outcome that you want. Whether it is, I want to figure out as quickly as possible if you're even a fit. And if not, I can get you to another level or wherever you need to be. So that would be number 2, learn to be an active listener. And number 3, be a lifelong learner. Don't stop your education on sales, and make sure, 4, that your follow-ups are absolutely insane. Follow up, and follow up. Because it's going to take multiple things to do it. Honestly, that's one of the ways AI can help you, is you can say, I would like I have an AI right now that I can say, this is what I'm doing right now. I want you to give me a sequence of 8 emails that I'm going to send off. Do you feel like this timing is even good? Because there's AIs that only work with salespeople, and it will spit out the best, and it'll say, do you like this tone? No, this is too cold. I would like for you to add this and this, and it'll make it in your voice and in this, and AI learns from you. So if you get a good one that's consistently learning from you and you're putting information into that brain, then you'll be able to get these follow-ups and it helps you. Now, it's still you. You're having to set that up and put that in your CRM so they go out on time, but you want to have consistent follow-ups from email, text, and voice. You don't want to be a stranger to them.
I love that, which kind of leads me to my next question is, as we're leveraging these tools to create content and try to get out there in front of more people who we can help with our product or service, what's the best way to go about it without being like overly salesy? Right? Because we've all seen those people that are just like obnoxious. And I'm going to pick on the direct sales, the MLM world a little bit. Because sometimes you people are bananas. Now I give you credit because you can't make sales you don't ask for. And some of you are absolute savages. So like kudos. However, there is a community of individuals who don't want to necessarily be as salesy. They want to feel good about what they're doing. So Jennifer, what's your advice for them?
Well, I would say content is king and long form content is king. So whenever you can think about it, in video is you cannot get away from video. I realize that there's a lot of people who don't even feel great on video, but guess what? You're going to have to just get used to it. And I would just make sure that you chat up, even if you're a regular salesperson, make sure you get it vetted from your corporate, what you're allowed to do, but make that long form content. If you get someone with a specific objection and you're really proud of how you overcame that objection, they became a client that becomes happy. One, figure out how you can ask for that testimonial. Don't stop doing that. Testimonials are probably one of the best ways that you can up it. And should be allowed as a salesperson to utilize any of your own testimonials. So I would get the testimonials, but I would also have long form content about what you like about your product and talk about it, and then just go into why you think that's great. You can do comparisons with other products without crapping on the other product, and just get that long form content out and put out things now. And it's different now. So I'm going to tell you, 2 years ago, you wanted people to be in a very strict funnel where you capture their email, you capture their name, you're getting back to them that. People are getting much more adverse to that, and they are winding around in their own way. So I would still have those types of funnels, but I would also have the indirect funnels, meaning have long form content and put out emails and even ads that say, hey, I figured out how to do XYZ. It's taken me 5 years how to do that. Or are you worried about this? I have a free video. I've put it on YouTube. I'm not going to ask for your email or anything, but it is so important to me that you have this information. So if you've been here, you're obviously searching for it. So go here to my YouTube link. Now you're not capturing anything. It's scary. But I'm going to tell you, the people who do that well and consistently, their sales are rising right now. It is, and maybe it won't work in 6 months from now, a year, but I really think that's going to stay with us for quite some time, being able to mix it with both having a funnel and then having the indirect funnel that's to long form content where you're building authority.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jennifer. I think there's a need to make sure that when you're running your paid advertising, that you have a very strong organic foundation. Because a lot of times what happens is they see your advertisement and they see it 10, 15 different, variations of it or whatever. And they're kind of getting to know you. And they're like, all right, I kind of like what this guy's saying. I don't want to buy anything and I'm not ready to give him my email yet. And I'm just going to kind of keep watching, because people are like, they're voyeurs by nature. We all love to people watch. And sometimes we're people watching some folks we want to learn from. And what's interesting is when they see your ads and then they go and they search for you, they're going to check out your website. They're going to find you on YouTube. If you've created videos and the content is of value to them, it's speaking to their core pain points, their desires, the things that you know from having hundreds and hundreds of conversations with them, well, then you can make sure that they feel heard and validated so that they can make a decision to say, yes, I'm going to invest in myself by working with this person for XYZ, right? I'm going to give them my email. I'm going to get on a phone call with them. I'm going to take that next step. And that is the true process that makes brands and businesses grow, is the ability to say, hey, we've got good, strong, long form content so that when people find us organically, they feel like we're actually speaking to them in their core. And then when they see our ads, it's, hey, here's how we're going to solve this problem for you. Here's how you're going to get the thing that you want out of your current situation. And so I love that advice, Jennifer. I think it's just fantastic for people to really understand the nuance there. And realistically, it's the thing that separates the greats from the order takers.
Yeah, because
no offense,
I'm
order
going to
takers.
No offense to the order takers. We need all the order takers we can get, right? But I will also want to add to that the real greats give away so much for free. You're like, God, I could just watch all their free stuff and know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, but guess what? They're the expert in it. You're not, and you're never going to do it. I'm just going to tell you that yes, you can find it all for free. You can spend hours and hours and be a video editor. You can spend hours and hours and coach yourself in your small business and figure out, which one of your KPIs is going to be the most important for growth, for lead growth, and how to do that, and or HR issues, whatever it is. Yeah, you could do it for free, but are you going to invest the hours, the time, and the effort to get that specialty? Or do you really want to be an incredible florist? Or do you really want and bring color to the world, or an artist, or a doctor, or a roofer, or a plumber? What do you actually put on this earth to do? Are you put on this earth to be a business coach, or, whatever it is that you're searching for? No. So guess what? Because you don't like that, because that's not what you chose to do, even though you can do it for free, you're not. So what's going to happen? Even though they put out all the content, you're going to go with the one that has the most, who's built the most authority and trust with you. And you're going to go, you know what? I really do think they know what they're doing, and this is just overwhelming me. Let me give them a call. And that's why it works.
Mic drop. Absolutely nailed it. Jennifer, we could nerd out on this all day, but I want to be respectful of your time because I know that you have so much more to share with the world. How do we come find you, follow you, check out more of your content and what you got going on?
Well, all you have to do is go to superclinicproject.com and you'll see my pictures on there. When you click on my picture, it'll take you to a page and you can book a 15-minute call with me. And it's a challenge call, meaning that I don't sell you anything. You bring a challenge. Like, I just had someone give me this objection, and I'll say, okay, and what do you sell? What do you do? And then I help you through it. Or I can't seem to grow, or whatever it is. Bring me a challenge, and in 15 minutes, I will get you better than where you are, and probably you'll end up making about 10 grand. I am a rock star at it really good, so I don't have to worry. People are like, oh, don't you get just overwhelmed with people? No, because a lot of people won't take the chance on themselves. They just won't do it. So if you're listening, take the chance on yourself, because I'm really good and I love to help people. It's what I'm here for.
You need empathy, you need confidence. Jennifer, you have both. I absolutely love it. Thank you again for hanging out with us today. It's been amazing.
Yes, it has. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Well, listen, you guys know what to do next. If you enjoyed the show, go find and follow Jennifer, check out her content, book that 15-minute call, share this episode on social media, tell someone about it, right? Maybe you know someone who kind of sucks at sales and they need a little help. Listen, it's cool. Send them this video, send them this episode, let them get better. And more than anything, if you have an amazing story and you want to share it with the world because you know it can help, I'd love to have you on the show. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'll get you booked in. We'll have an amazing conversation just like we did today with my new friend, Jennifer. Thank you again. Listen, go call the damn leads. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.